I hit the stream.
All right, let me see if I can get my maybe headphones.
Yeah, we hear you. Of course, you probably can't hear
Yeah, it's
Yep.
okay?
Yep, you're good.
Awesome.
We can hear you. All right, Bob, we're
Awesome.
live or on the studio.
All right. We'll be going live soon. If you're out there and somehow dialed into this, stumbled across it in the internet ether, we will be going live. 12-team mock draft, PPR league, Emil, regular scoring system.
One quarterback, two wide. Excuse me. Let's start over. One quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex.
And we should be live on the video stream momentarily. So Jersey Jen Ryan at FF Degenerate with the JEN instead of the GEN is here with us. Jen, how are you this fine evening?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'm trying to, hopefully the puppy will cooperate. She's got a bad habit of crashing these things.
Puppies are not meant to cooperate. Ask Emil.
Nope, they can be a little crazy.
They're not like cats, that's for sure.
And they're not always very cooperative. Should be live here momentarily. Let's see. How many we got in the room? One. Good one. So we're 2 away from a full house, which would be great to have. Always like a full house when we're mock drafting. 1 away. 1 away from a full house.
How are you guys doing, all right?
We're doing fantastic. Do you have your strategy all dialed in, Jen, in this one, or are you playing it by ear?
No, I switched it up because the last one I picked a little bit towards the end of the round, so I selected the 4th draft slot for this one because I don't want to be forced to take, like, we all know who's going 1, 2, and 3, so it'll be kind of fun to kind of see where the 4th spot takes me.
Emil, what's your position in this one?
9. We kind of flipped. Jen and I kind of flipped in this one from the last.
I think we may
From the last one.
Not quite live on the video just yet, but if you're out there and you're catching it, we are preparing for this mock draft. Should be starting momentarily. Not quite a full house. Oh, we had 2 leave since 3 leave. That's not what we wanted to see.
Yeah, we need to start it pretty quick, I guess. They'll be back.
I'm hoping so. I've stepped away.
Bob and Emil, no pressure whatsoever, but the good folks over at RotoWare are selling some Social Scene Fantasy League shirts. They'll be available until like Sunday, so if you guys want one.
I will place my order.
They're
We're
very
live
nice.
on YouTube.
Excellent.
Jen, hello everybody. It's me, Bob Harris, alongside Emil Kadlec, Jen Ryan from Football Diehards. We're going to do a little mock draft for you, kind of analyze, answer questions throughout the night. Jen, what's going on with the tell us the shirt thing again while people are listening.
Sure, yeah. So RotoWare, I don't need to tell you guys how awesome their clothes are, but they're going to be selling a shirt for the Social Scene Fantasy League that the last 3 weeks I've been teaching like an online Zoom course to some members from my sister's social club. They have a club for adults with special needs. We've been doing an intro to fantasy football course. They've all got Football Diehard subs. They think it's so cool that I want to the website. But next week we're going to be doing our draft, and got a couple analysts who agreed to help out. They're going to help these guys draft teams. But over at RotoWare until Sunday, you could buy a shirt, a Social Team Fantasy League shirt, and a portion of the sales will be going directly to the club. So that should be cool.
I think that's a great idea. I'm going to go order right now.
Thank you.
And I recommend everyone do the same. And so we've got a 12-team PPR draft ahead, and looks like everyone's in the house except 2, or except 3. Okay, not everyone is in the house. We'll be starting it up shortly, everybody. If you do have questions, jump in. We're going to talk a little strategy throughout. Jen drafting from the 4 spot. Emil drafting later in the, the 9 spot? or 10?
Yes, the 9th spot.
9. And so this is kind of a flip from where we were in the last draft, I think. So, and there it's filling up. We're about 2 or 3 away. So it's in and out for some people. Hopefully they'll all show up when we start. Don't need any auto drafting people. And this is the usual kind of thing we do. Mock drafts on Tuesday and Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern start time. The rest of the week, this is PPR, Joe. So the rest of the time we do the 3 p.m. Ask Me Anything sessions. We may switch some of these up. We've done some Ask Me Anythings in the evening. We may do a mock draft during the day. You never know. Would like to get everyone to show up for the drafts. That makes them work much better. So I know, Jen, you said before we were getting this thing fully rolling that you didn't necessarily, have a similar strategy. Do you have a strategy in mind?
No, I mean, I guess going into this one, I think I'm going to attack running back a little bit early. I mean, I try to let the draft come to me, but I do tend to shy away from running backs because I see all these big name receivers, but really it's hard when you get out of the 3rd round. So we'll see. I'll be going running back with this pick. Sometimes I switch it up and go Michael Thomas with this pick, but I want to focus on the running back position in this one.
Makes perfect sense. And Emil, I know you have a strategy in this one we'll talk about throughout the evening, but you're going to focus on late quarterback and tight end, not going either early. And we've seen these guys going, 2nd round for the top tight ends, 2nd and 3rd round for the top QBs, Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, the top tight ends, of course, Travis Kelce and George Kittle. So are you going to hammer the running backs? That's the question.
Running backs and receivers. I'm just going to see how it comes to me, and just going to go late at tight end, late at quarterback, and see what I can take advantage of there. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna see how both the wide receiver and the running back are going to fall to me, but that's what I'm taking initially.
That sounds like a good plan.
And maybe we ought to start.
I was going to say, let's go ahead and crank this sucker up and get it rolling and see if some of the stragglers show up as we start the affair.
Here we go.
Philip Klein's going number 7 in his draft coming with this weekend, and he has a hard time drafting Michael Thomas if he were still there with a limit on running backs. This is not a super flex uniform. This is regular 1 quarterback PPR league, standard settings for the most part. Christian McCaffrey off the board first. Number 7, I have a hard time not going Michael Thomas too, but I've seen him going later in drafts. The running backs have been going kind of crazy. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley off. So it's not unusual to see 11 running backs now going off in the 1st round of a 12-team draft. And I've gotten Michael Thomas as late as 10, and I've seen him go as late as 11. Just seems like people are really putting a lot of value on them. So makes it really tough. Also making it tough is when people don't show up for the mock draft. And, one of the issues with this that we see is, and it's something you should be prepared for if you're drafting out there, and even your real drafts, I've seen this happen in real drafts, where you're waiting for your pick and the guy you want is at the top of the queue. And maybe that person wouldn't have otherwise picked them, but boom, they get picked from the queue. Alvin Kamara went 3rd, Ezekiel Elliott 4th. How happy are you about that, Jen?
I mean, look, I don't think you could go wrong with any of these guys in the top 5. I mean, sure, it's easy for me to root for Zeke on a Sunday, but I have Zeke kind of up there a little bit more than some people, not just because of the volume and everything, but he's already confirmed tested positive for the coronavirus. We know pretty much for sure that means he can't get it again. So I'm not worried about him missing time in this crazy Rona season.
And we are seeing running backs coming off exclusively through the first 7 picks. And more people are showing up, so hopefully it looks like we've got almost a full house now. So that's great news. Thanks everyone for showing up. How far will Sanders fall from what his ADP was before the injury news? In the day after the injury news, I got him at 14th overall. So I thought that was notable. I think people are kind of cooling off. I think you get caught in the heat of the moment. 2 wide receivers off the board now, which are the 2 you would see going off first. Don't always see them go off in the 1st round. Emil, 3 wide receivers. There you have it. This is going to be an outlier draft, or at least a unique draft. It'll be interesting to see if this run continues. Emil, what prompted you to go wide receiver?
Well, I really actually have Devontae as my number 2 PPR, 3 starting wide receivers, and a flex. Let's see what running back comes to me here in 2 more picks, and we'll see whether I made the right choice.
Joe Mixon at 12 seems like larceny. Somebody's getting it. There's some great deals in running backs. Obviously, the more wide receivers go, the more they get devalued. Jen, just in general, how confident are you in this top tier of running backs? I would say it goes through. There's Miles Sanders, Austin Eckler. I would say it goes through Eckler. Basically, that's the 12 that now we get into fuzzy territory. Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, and then into just the heavy workload tier. Guys that maybe have perceived less upside. How confident are you in these top 12? Are there anyone you don't? Is there anyone in this group you don't like?
I mean, it'd be crazy to say no, I don't like them. I'm a little weary on Mixon only because, good running backs on bad offenses don't necessarily pan out. But he gets the volume, he gets the looks in the passing game. New quarterback, so he's got a ton of upside. But yeah, my God, do these running backs they dry up. So if you don't take it in the first round, you're missing out on a bell cow. Most likely.
Emil is taking that chance, going wide receiver with Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. And my rankings, 2 guys in the top 5 for sure at their position. So also noted in the comments on YouTube, the Joe Mixon, Kenyon Drake duo, super solid. The Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders duo, super solid. A lot of good pairings here early in this draft. I would expect that to continue. So, Emil, are you pretty confident you're going to get a running back you want, or you're just comfortable with any of this next tier?
Well, we're going to find out. I was really hoping that Miles or Kenyon Drake would fall. Wasn't really sure, or Eckler, and it didn't happen. So I went Tyreek Hill, and now I've got the challenge of finding a couple running backs here in the next 2 to 3 rounds that they can start for me. And no, I'm not that greatly confident. I think I've kind of put myself in a difficult situation, but if I can pull that off, I'm going to have a good team.
Love to start with the first pick overall. Christian McCaffrey gives you a lot of leeway to do whatever the hell you want. Now we've seen both the top 2 quarterbacks, and both the top two tight ends come off by the second pick of the 3rd round, and Zach Ertz also off, so that's interesting. But that first pick you get Christian McCaffrey, you feel pretty comfortable going any direction you want. It's been my experience. I'm not afraid to go tight end there. I'm not afraid to go one of the quarterbacks there. Just totally a liberating move. And again, thanks everyone for showing up for the mock itself. And thanks everyone who's here in the comments. Jump into the comments. Ask any questions you have about this draft. I'll pass them along to Jen and Emil if you have specific questions for them. I will make snarky comments throughout, but also answer any of your questions you might have about anything in general, any fantasy stuff. So feel free to ask whatever you want, any lineup or any draft questions or ranking questions you might have. And also, if you're not, hit the subscribe button right underneath this draft board, and get notifications. Hit the notification bell as well, so you get the notifications when we go live with these daily sessions throughout the week. We appreciate you showing up. So Emil got Jonathan Taylor, a guy that maybe, you got to wonder about the early portion. I'm less worried than others. I think this is a fine pick. But, maybe you're going to need to shore this up a little bit, Emil, coming around, or?
Yeah, I'm probably going to take another running back, and also, Marlon Mack has been going so late, I could even, handcuff Taylor if Taylor's not playing a lot the first part of the year to secure a top back. David Johnson was very tempting in my next pick, which now you can't take him because Team 12 just loves running backs.
Let's while you're pondering your immediate future here, let's talk about Jen Ryan, sporting 3 stud running backs in the first 3 picks. Todd Gurley, the news today, if you didn't see it, if you're not on the footballdiehards.com website, you should be. Go to footballdiehards.com/free trial. If you haven't got it, if you have, go check out the news. 15 to 25 touches a game was Dirk Cutter's words. Jen, how comfortable are you with the workloads of James Conner and Todd Gurley? Fairly excited?
I mean, here's the thing with Zeke, knowing that he's got that high floor, I feel like I can take shots on these ceiling guys. James Conner, the Pittsburgh offense, going to run through Ben Roethlisberger. All reports indicate that he's super healthy. And Todd Gurley, I mean, even with the issues, he still finished. He still does well in fantasy, and he's also like, I think over like the last 3 years, he's one of the touchdown leaders in the NFL. So it's like, if I have a bell cow or someone who has even, half of their fantasy weeks at bell cow totals in the third round, like Gurley's a guy who has all the upside in the world to be a first round pick next year. So I'm pretty happy to get him in the third round.
Yeah, so we got what, 3 teams with the with 3 running backs to start. Is that 1, 2, 3? Yeah, 3 teams started out with 3 running backs. I think we see a lot of that this year. Emil is on the clock, as he well knows. I think when you're coming around, it'll be interesting to see who the other 3 running back teams get as their first receiver. Amari Cooper, or the Amari Coaster, as I call it. It's a great ride on the weeks that it's up at the top of the hill, and the lower weeks not as fun. Juju Smith-Schuster, Robert Woods going off. Kareem Hunt, Emil's taking him. Emil, I know why you're taking him, but tell the peoples why you're taking him.
Well, there's a lot of guys I could take right now. I don't really like Fournette, who I could have taken. He would have been a fine pick, but he was an RB2 last year from week 10 to week 16, and Chubb was an RB2 last year. And even if he's an RB2, I got him as my RB2. And if he goes just a little more, I get a little frosting on the cake. And he's experienced. I know what he can do. They know what he can do. He's been a year there in Cleveland. I'm not taking a rookie right now. I'm taking an experienced guy that's got a pretty nice ceiling.
Say for Leonard Fournette talked to Byron Lambert from Roster Watch today. He was in Jacksonville, and his reporting jived with everything that we've been hearing. My co-host Mike Dempsey on Sirius covers that team on a daily basis. The reviews of Leonard Fournette himself are glowing. The question involves the role. The concern that he's going to lose a lot of that receiving equity that he demonstrated last year seems reasonable. Jen gets Odell Beckham Jr. with her first wide receiver pick to finish off on Beckham before I get to that. It does seem like there's a really solid workload. He's looked really great in workouts, Fournette, but there is going to be some downturn in the number of targets he got last year after a huge receiving season for him. So, Jen, Odell Beckham last year was outside the wide receiver 2 conversation. Is this a vote in a bounce back for the Cleveland Browns, or just Beckham in particular? Well, you're on the clock. Go ahead and make it.
A little bit of both. Honestly, I find it really hard to pass on Odell Beckham towards the tail end of the 4th round. He was playing injured all year. He admitted to that. He was in a new offense. I don't know. To me, he's just like one of the top receivers in football since like Jerry Rice. So it's so hard for me to pass on him.
Jay Deere, with a bunch of numbers after the name, says, what do you think Adam Thielen will do this year? He should get more targets. Will he show the 2017-2018 form? If he's healthy, I think he absolutely will. Stephon Diggs leaving does not hurt him, only helps him. His target share has been massive when he's healthy. Jen, where are you comfortable drafting Thielen? Are you comfortable with him as your wide receiver 1 if that's how it plays out?
Oh, definitely. I mean, Thielen's a stud, and he's not competing for those like big targets anymore with Diggs gone. Again, you're wide receiver 1 in the 3rd round. I mean, if these receivers explode this year in the way that we've seen the running backs over like the last 2 years, these are guys that could very well go in the 1st and 2nd round next year. I'm excited for the falling wide receiver value, and he got Thielen with Juju. I mean, that's a pretty nice core.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you took Tyler Eichenberg as your next receiver, so you're starting off with a couple of guys that with a hell of a lot of upside after starting out with that 3 running back role. Pretty comfortable there?
Yeah, I love DK Metcalf too. I was surprised to see him go where Lockett went. Go ahead of Lockett. And somebody else I was looking at there who's still available, who if he somehow lands in the next round, Keenan Allen. I mean, I can't believe I know that there's quarterback change, but regardless, I mean, he's like a 10-target guy. So sorry, my cat just wants to play fantasy football. Shut up, buddy.
Not a problem.
I'm just saying, Tyrod Taylor is probably a lot better than people realize, and I realize there's a quarterback sitting there waiting to take him over, but he's not as bad as people think, and I think the Keenan Allen slander has gotten way out of hand. I'm having no more of it. Emil, you're quickly playing catch up with the running backs. You now have three. Two of them, one of them, the starter to open the season. How do you feel about this group?
I'm a little happier right now. I've got a lot of decisions to make because there's still, now I could go receive a running back, but, we'll see how the risk comes out. I'm not too bad right now. We'll see what I get the next 2 rounds.
Team 12 after that, Joe Mixon, Kenyon Drake, David Johnson starts, goes with the Amari Coaster, Keenan Allen, and T.Y. Hilton. So you have 2 high upside guys with a guy that, in my estimation, is a huge floor guy. And Keenan Allen hasn't had fewer than 130 targets, 1,100 yards, 16 in each of the last 3 years. I think this is a well-constructed roster at the moment, drafting out of the 12th spot. Looking at some of these other teams, again, Jen, we mentioned, started out with the Ezekiel Elliott, James Conner, Todd Gurley. Comes back with Odell Beckham and Tyler Lockett. I could live with that as well. The other 3 running back player is Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, and Le'Veon Bell to start the draft, followed up with Cooper Kupp and Terry McLaurin. I think Cooper Kupp a super high floor player. We have a question from the audience. VZW Post wants to know if Calvin Ridley could be a top 10 wideout this year. Anybody have a thought on that? Jen?
I think it's hard to be top 10 with Julio Jones there. I know the problem with Julio is the touchdowns, but it's, you're still going to have to edge him out, and that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I think he's a super solid wide receiver too. Emil, it's a pass-heavy offense, although they'd like Todd Gurley to regulate that a bit. I don't know that he will totally regulate it because that's what the Falcons have been about, the passing attack. Ridley rose up the ranks pretty good last year. Any thoughts that he could be a wide receiver 1 in fantasy? We've seen teams support two basically top 10 receivers in the past.
It's possible. I looked at his numbers just to refresh my mind a week or so ago. He finished 27th last year, but I don't have the numbers run. But he had a meet in there. He had a 28, a 22, a 17, and an 18 in weeks 11 through 14 PPR. Obviously, that's a wide receiver 1. But I think he could edge in there. But even if he's a high number 2, what's wrong with that before you got him?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And Russell Wilson off the board as the first non-Mahomes Jackson quarterback off. Will they let Russ cook, Jen?
The Twitter hashtag says so. We'll see. We'll see. I think a lot of that's up to Pete Carroll. They love to run the ball. I just got sniped pretty hard on Marquise Brown, which is a bummer.
Out.
So I'm actually going to jump here a little bit. This guy could probably go back to me in the 7th round, but Julian Edelman is someone that everyone continues to forget about, and he's got a great quarterback under center.
The high floor approach. Emil is doing the reverse high floor approach. Obviously, his first receiver, Devontae Adams, not only a huge floor, but also a huge ceiling. Same with Tyreek Hill. Then he comes back with Will Fuller. This is what I call a possible league winner, a guy you're drafting in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, or later rounds that might turn out to be one of the top players at his position. I say this about Will Fuller because if you look at the last 16 games, he's gotten 6-7 targets or more. He has been the wide receiver 7 from a fantasy perspective. So he's capable of putting up those numbers. The question is, can he stay on the field? That seems to be the only question, right, Emil?
Yeah, it is a tough one. As I was coming around that corner, I was seriously thinking about Dobbins and having 4 running backs, and I was thinking, wow, Fuller or Dobbins? Well, Team 11 solved that problem for me and took Dobbins 2 picks before me, and I was to take Fuller. I thought about Parker too, but I'm just going to go for the super high side and Fuller and take a chance with my 3rd wide receiver.
I'm telling you, people, when I see this range of the A.J. Green, Marquise Brown, Devontae Parker, Will Fuller in this group as well, these are potential league winners, all of them, given their price point. Dak Prescott, my choice as the first non-Jackson Mahomes quarterback. that I would take, and I'm happily taking him anywhere from the 5th round on. Jen Ryan gets him in the 7th round. And as a Cowboys fan, I'm sure she's quite pleased. Many quarterback runs starting now with Kyler Murray following him. Matt Breida, we've hit that point where running backs are getting a little thin, folks. You're starting to take some chances. I think there's still some league winners out there. We'll see how they come off. In general, Emil, as you sit here pondering your next pick, you could go pretty much either way, right?
Yeah, I'm right there, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out where I want to go. I don't have much option here. Let's see. Is it my pick yet? No, I got a few seconds left. Hopefully this guy can give me some. Oh, no, I still got a little bit. Yeah, there's some very good players still there. A lot of tough choices. I've got to decide here in 50 seconds.
Yeah, we're through about midway, a little past midway through the 7th round. 5 quarterbacks off the board. Chase Edmonds just went. That tells you a little something about the state of running backs right now. In the 7th round, they've been going fast and furious. That's a lot of running backs when we're in the Matt Breida, Chase Edmonds range, although they're going off a little higher than maybe I would take them. That kind of explains that. I think Jordan Howard, one of the latest of the what I would call heavy workload or reasonably good workload guys. And Breida is going right in that same range, so it's not like crazy. Now, Michael Gallup, also a possible league winner. Another one of those guys. Jarvis Landry we could have in that conversation too as well. I think, Jen, just, as the Cowboys fan here, tell us a little bit about the wonders of Mr. Michael Gallup.
The coach even said it himself. He is a wide receiver 1 who just happens to be on a team where on the depth chart, he's a wide receiver 2. I really was nervous during the Jamal Adams trade rumors that he was going to be put together in a package and sent over to the Jets, because the Jets sort of are still looking for that true wide receiver 1. When you look at the Cowboys wide receivers, I don't want to jinx it, but on paper, they're a pretty rare trio. It's hard. It's not common, I guess I should say, to see all that talent at the wide receiver position while also having what arguably one of the best running backs in football. So, of course, they'll screw it up.
Good quarterback.
Yeah. But, of course, they'll, miss the playoffs and ruin my spring.
I'm just wondering what took Jan so long to take her second Dallas Cowboy. That's the 7th round.
Well, and now I see the first rookie off the board is a Dallas Cowboy, a rookie wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb. So clearly people are listening to the hype coming out of Dallas right now.
Yeah, I think people want to use the offense. And taking Dak there, it's something I've been experimenting with a little bit actually in DraftKings best balls, is stacking like 2 to 3 players from the same team. So I really do like the Zeke Dak stack, and I might be looking for Blake Jarwin a little bit down the line, just to take advantage of those big offensive or perceived big offensive weeks.
We are halfway through the draft in less than a half hour. Good time. Way to go, all the drafters out there. If you're out there watching this thing, toss into the comments your thoughts on who the best team is. Let me know what you think. Have a little discussion on that. Team 12 looking pretty strong right now with Deshaun Watson in round 7. Tyler Higbee, a little earlier than I want to take him, but I get it. He is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tight end off the board. I rank him a little lower. There are some more sure things. I guess this is something we'll discuss as Emil drafts along. And there goes Marlon Mack, a guy Emil might have been interested in. But we'll discuss this later on, because I'm of the mind you either go early or you go late. This middle range of tight ends don't interest me much. And the high end of the range, by the way, it for me includes Mark Andrews, who I think was a pretty good price here in the late 3rd round, 3.8. Zach Ertz I've seen go as late as round 4, even round 5. So interesting to see where he went. A little talk of him being the latest to get an extension. Talks are back on there. So Zach Moss, I'm not surprised that you took Zach Moss, Emil. The reporting has been very positive. Look, we're anticipating at least a goal line role, right? And as your 4th running back, a guy with that kind of upside, maybe the Frank Gore role, that's enough for there, right?
Hopefully so. It was a difficult situation, but running backs really fall off. I think I can get a receiver or 2 in the next round or 2 that are, has good potential. So I went for the 4th running back, and then I'm going to start taking receivers.
Tom Brady off the board pretty early, I would say, as
That's a little earlier than usual.
Seventh quarterback off the board. I would have preferred others and many others, a handful of others, not many. Alexander Madison, Antonio Gibson off the board. We're seeing Gibson go in this. I mean, this is a little later than I've seen him go in a number of leagues. Evan Ingram to Jen Ryan. The upside is there. We have not seen him achieve that upside. You're counting on him to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was hard passing on Hayden Hurst there. If Ingram plays 16 games, we know what he's capable of. And, in my experience, a lot of people like to trash Jason Garrett, but he's a pretty good offensive coordinator. Did pretty well with undrafted free agent Tony Romo, did pretty well with fourth-round pick Dak Prescott, and he's always used his tight ends, and he has, one of the most talented tight ends that he's ever coached now.
Yeah, he's a very good player. Just had a hard time, I think, missed 14 of 42 possible games. So that's been a bit of an issue for him. Again, if you're out there watching and you'd like to chime in with your opinion on any of these teams, or which team do you think is the best? Who's doing a lousy job? Who has your favorite players, or were you surprised by players who have or have not gone in this particular draft? Also, want to remind everyone, if you're not subscribed to this channel, the YouTube channel, just hit the subscribe button right below the draft screen, the video screen. Hit the notification bell so you get notifications every time we go live. We do it 5 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We do it at about 3 p.m. Ask Me Anything sessions. Mix a mock draft in there. Tuesday and Thursday, we've been doing mostly the mock drafts. We'll also mix a Ask Me Anything in there, and we're here to take your questions and just discuss in general anything that interests you. We're from the footballdiehards.com website. Go there. If you're not familiar, take a tour. footballdiehards.com/free trial. If you're already familiar and you're slapping your forehead right now going, oh, I haven't subscribed yet, use the promo code DieHards for a 15% discount. Tons of content up. Right now, our August update is up and rolling. Tons of news, updated constantly rankings, and tools, all kinds of good information for you right now, including our configurable cheat sheet. And I heard somebody just get sniped. I heard you swearing, Emil.
Yeah,
you can't hide.
I was waiting for you, Deontay Johnson, and he went. So I'm going to do a little reach here. I've got the loop around the next corner, but I'm just going to go with one of my favorite New York Giant players, who I was hoping I could get early in the next round. So 5 receivers so far.
There you go, Darius Slayton. Some good upside there. I think, McCole Hardman, a bit of a reach for me. So Matt Ryan is one of the quarterbacks I would have definitely taken ahead of Tom Brady. Gee whiz. Team 5's got his vote. Top four top team. Also can't believe that Hayden Hurst is still on the board. He went off shortly after that comment was made. So I'm kind of surprised that that it was a little Philip Klein says Hayden Hurst isn't Austin Hooper. No, but the role is the role, and we'll see how that plays out. But the targets have been there for tight ends regardless. Slayton is going to slay it, I believe is the code language I'm reading there.
They should capitalize the slay in his last name and make it official.
Yes, I think so. So let's see where everyone, our staffers are here. Jen Ryan, Ezekiel, James Conner, Todd Gurley, Latavius Murray are her running backs. Odell Beckham, Tyler Lockett, Julieta Edelman, her wide receivers. Dak Prescott at quarterback, Evan Ingram at tight end. For Emil Kadlec, we have Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Will Fuller, Michael Gallup, Darius Slayton, a fine crew of wide receivers. I think plenty of upside there. All viable wide receiver or close to borderline wide receiver ones for their team, depending on how this plays out for the latter three. Jonathan Taylor, Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones, Zach Moss at running back for Emil, and no quarterback or tight ends yet, although I think he's starting to consider rectifying that as we head into round 10. He may still be pushing. Let's see what he does. Let's see which direction he goes.
Anthony Miller.
Interesting play. I'm not sure I'm buying into the Bears' passing attack, but he did have about a 5-game run where he was putting up wide receiver 2 numbers late last season before he got hurt, and that was with Mitchell Trubisky, not necessarily throwing well, expecting the Bears to throw the ball better. I mean, it's a little.
And that guy just took my sleeper tight end, Noah Fant. I thought I could get him in another round because 11 tight ends have gone. but I was wrong.
Aaron Rodgers off the board as well. So just, in general, how do you feel about your team and the strategy you decided to employ? We talked about this if you had joined us late. Emil was going to go quarterback and tight end late in this draft, and so far he has hammered the value of running back and wide receiver. So far he has. How do you feel about it, Emil?
Not too bad. I was focusing on Noah Fant, and of course one of the rules about drafting is you don't focus on one player. I've got other tight ends I'd want to go, but I was kind of wanting to get him, and I thought if 11 tight ends have gone, I could get him, and I was wrong. Not bad. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Definitely a bizarre turn. We went with 2 receivers early.
Jen just grabbed another guy with some upside, Preston Williams. The reporting, I talked to Alain Poupard from Sports Illustrated this past weekend, asking specifically how Preston Williams looked. Said he looks great. Said, playing well, showing chemistry. He and Devontae Parker both showing great chemistry with Ryan Fitzpatrick. We'll see Tua Tonga Bailoa is making a little bit of a push this week, or looking better. Fitzpatrick's going to be the starter there. But Preston Williams was a guy, Jen, who really came on early last year, undrafted for some off-the-field character issues, but certainly as talented as anybody on that roster, or damn near as talented as Devontae Parker.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm looking for upside guys here, and he's got it. He's like a darling among the fantasy community, and I do buy into all those evaluations because, I do trust the fantasy eye. At this point, I'm almost throwing darts, and I don't think that's a terrible dart to throw for a receiver on a team that's going to be chucking the ball because, they're not really expected to win many games, so they'll be playing from behind.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Alan Lazard is the next pick. Some talk recently about Marquez Valdez-Scantling maybe making a push. I know one of the Green Bay beat writers in a Reddit Ask Me Anything suggested that MVS could push for number 2. Everything I've heard is Lazard is locked in. Justin Jefferson went off. Brandon Ayuk, a little beat up, should be back before week 1. Some of the comments, if Emil's running back show up, he's killing it with PPR. Those wide receivers are outstanding. Gee whiz, Jen thought your Preston Williams pick was a steal. And J. Deere thinks Emil has all half-time backs. And maybe for some portion of the season he does. Maybe not. We'll find out on that one. I want to talk a little bit about the concept of the league winners. I mentioned it, drafting guys late, like Emil Kadlec drafts Jack Doyle late. You look at because he missed out on some guys he wanted. Maybe Doyle is not the sexy play, but you're in one of the tight end heaviest offenses under Frank Reich. All his offenses from San Diego to Philadelphia to Indy now have targeted the tight ends crazily, right? They're one of the highest teams, one of the highest rates. Last year, once Eric Ebron was hurt, Doyle was the second most targeted player on the team. So a potential league winner, that's what we're looking for here. I mean, you can even argue the Sony Michel pick. If Sony Michel turns out to be healthy and gets 200-some carries, this is a guy that's going to maybe change the way your team works because you got him in the 11th round. Jen maybe got that guy in Preston Williams. Emil maybe got that guy in Zach Moss or Will Fuller. Those are the kind of players we're looking for. Watch out for the Moss kid in Washington. If you're saying Thaddeus Moss, no, don't watch out for him in Washington because he is gone. He is no longer on the team. He was waived, and he'll be placed on IR if he makes it through waivers. John Brown is a guy I love an awful lot. We'll see how this passing attack works out in Buffalo. The sleeper tight end in Washington is now Logan Thomas. Not Jeremy Sprinkle, who I drafted in early drafts. Thank you. The real sleeper tight end, I'm not going to mention him. Somebody might draft him. Probably not. There are a number of them. So Emil's still looking for his quarterback in round 12. Still plenty available. Matthew Stafford, Ben Roethlisberger, Carson Wentz, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, the latest to go. Still some guys I see there with tons of upside. Tony Pollard goes off. Jen Ryan shakes her fist. Danny Dimes, the guy I love. Only concerns there are the early schedule in the Week 16 game against Baltimore, but I think we can work our way through that. Rashad Perriman goes. Emil, was this your target all along?
No, but we had I was going to take Wentz early, but I just decided there was too much value left. So you have Wentz, you have Tannehill, you have Stafford, you have Jones, you still have Goff, even Baker Mayfield. There's a lot of guys I can double up, and if this is an 18-round league, even though we're only going 14 in the mock, I'd probably back up with one of those guys I just mentioned, which would be Tannehill, Goff, Baker Mayfield. There's a bunch of guys I could take to kind of make sure Daniels gets through the first few weeks of the season.
Robert Sabini thinks that Tariq Cohen is a steal in the 10th, and I would agree. If you get the 2018 Tariq Cohen, the 1,169-yard from scrimmage 8 touchdown version, if you get the 669-yard 3 touchdown version from last year, not so much. If you get something in between, hell, I'd take that. But he is another guy that you would view as a potential league winner, or a guy that could come and outproduce his current ADP easily, or if things go his way, like better quarterback play, which seems almost certain given the addition of quarterbacks. Jed Ryan takes another of my favorites, Robbie Anderson, late. High upside guy. Only 3 players have been targeted more on passes of 20 yards or more since 2016 than Robbie Anderson. Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, and Mike Evans. So I don't know if Teddy Bridgewater is the best quarterback for him, Jen, but he's definitely a guy that can get down the field.
Yeah, totally. Sorry, I'm on the clock and I'm like so torn on what to do here. Also regretting.
Tell us who you're deciding between.
Between the Charger running backs, Justin Jackson and Joshua Kelly. That's my which one right now? I think I'm gonna take the shot on Kelly here. I'm also noticing that somehow the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Patriots is still out there. I'm kicking myself right now.
Cameron Newton's still available. Joshua Kelly would have been my pick. I didn't want to influence you because I'm totally in the tank for Joshua Kelly. Another guy I think could be a league winner coming in. Irv Smith, some talk there. We'll see about that. Kyle Rudolph still seems to be the guy in the red zone, but Irv Smith looks like he is the downfield or the field stretching component of the tight end core. So a guy like Joshua Kelly, whether you like him or Justin Jackson, those are the kind of guys that, maybe you're going to come up and grab that Melvin Gordon role. And if you plant your flag on one of them in the 13th round and it's the wrong one, worse things can happen to you, people. Is there a chance A.J. Dillon vultures 6 to 8 touchdowns this year? Sure. I think we all believe, everyone in the industry believes that there is touchdown regression coming for Aaron Jones because he scored 19, and that's unusual. So bet on that. But if Dillon gets something, it would not be surprising. Big body guy. Ryan Tannehill going off at this point, I think, is incredible value. So is Baker Mayfield. Who knows? The post flop hype, or the post debut hype last year was a little much, and maybe without the hype this year, he can get going with his bad self. But I love some of these late round picks we're seeing as we head into the final round. Emil takes Bryce Love. He would be among those picks. A guy that could maybe turn up and become the feature back for the Washington football team before all is said and done. Adrian Peterson ahead of him for now, but that is not a permanent condition, as we all know. Philip Kleins is staying away from Baker. I get it too. But we were talking about him. People collectively, we're talking about him as a top 10. Some even thought a top 5 quarterback last year. Was it dysfunctional coaching, or was it Baker that were the problem? Probably a combination of those things. I think smarter coaching could help him out an awful lot. Washington running back situation right now is Adrian Peterson as the lead back, the starter, Bryce Love as his backup, with Peyton Barber pushing up the mix, J.D. McKissick in the mix for the third down role, Antonio Gibson in the mix for that role as well. Probably see some time split out. Sounds like he's getting lots of passes thrown his way in camp practices. Antonio Gibson, the versatile rookie. Cam Newton, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff trio comes off here. Joe Burrow, I have to tell you, talking to Jay Morrison from The Athletic, he could not have been more complimentary of Joe Burrow and what we've seen from him in workouts. Called his accuracy stunning is the word he used. If you've heard the talk about Auden Tate being the MVP of camp, That's only because Joe Burrow knows exactly where to put the football, only where his receiver can catch it. Especially these big body guys think the same of AJ Green and T Higgins as well. So interesting pick there with some upside. Emil, I can't see your final pick.
Alshon Jeffrey.
Alshon Jeffrey. We both like him a lot as this late round guy. A little talk on this was, we've heard from people who cover the team closely that Alshon will open the season not on PUP, but maybe not ready to play, but that it won't be that 6-game absence. We'll see. But I think in the 14th round for a potential wide receiver 1. Which Arizona running back, wide receiver did you take, Jen?
Larry Fitzgerald, all reliable.
Another guy forgotten. Robert Sabini loves Dak in the 7th. Is there any concern on passing your quarterback and top running back on pairing? Jen, you talked about this a little bit, but for people who may have missed it, talk again about the stacking of some of these teams that you've seen.
Yeah, no, that was intentional. Again, it's something I've been experimenting with in DraftKings best ball leagues. When I look at high-powered offenses, like if I could pull it off, I would stack Kamara, Michael Thomas, Drew Brees. If I could somehow put that combination together, if I could somehow stack, 3 players from Atlanta, 3 players from Dallas, 3 players from Seattle, teams that are going to score a lot of points, just to try to, soak them all up in those big games. It's why I was actually looking at Jarwin in this last round, but he got picked up ahead of it. And, the thing with Zeke is he's not just carrying the ball, he's catching the ball as well. So, we have that double dip opportunity on receiving touchdowns.
Question from Willie Scott. Scott, how's Jerick McKinnon coming along? Coming along quite nicely, it sounds like. Impressing teammates. Looks like he's going to earn a receiving role, 3rd down role. Well, how big that is, we'll see. When did Debo go? I didn't see Debo go.
Debo? He went.
When did he go?
He went in the 6th round, 10th pick of the 6th round.
I see him now. That's crazy early to me. I don't know when he's going to play. Nobody knows when he's going to play, although Kyle Shanahan keeps telling us that he could be available. They're optimistic for week 1. I'm not sure. This is the same Kyle Shanahan that said he was going to be less forthcoming with the media than he normally is. And he is normally not very forthcoming. So, I don't know. Deebo Samuel had the foot surgery in June, had a 10 to 16-week recovery window. The 10-week would put him right around the range of week 1. So, this is a pretty big gamble on a guy that I don't know is going to play, but I get it. The upside is there. We'd love to hear some of your questions. If you have any about the end of the draft, I'll just get Emil and Jem both to talk about their final thoughts on their team. Emil, go ahead.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good. I only got one quarterback so far, and there was a huge run on number 2 quarterback. So to back up Daniel Jones, I'm going to get a guy that I may be able to get lucky with a Bridgewater or a Locke or maybe a Rivers or Sam McDonald. Certainly not who I really wanted. And I didn't really get a second tight end. So I'm stretched a little there. I'm going to have to make that work for me, but maybe Jack Doyle will be the dude.
He will be a dude, that's for sure. Jen, your thoughts on your overall draft tonight?
I mean, I'm super critical of every team I pick, which is a blessing and a curse. I tend to look at them, and all I do is look at players who were drafted around where I took a guy and see who I missed on and who I wish I would have taken instead. With all that said, I think kicking it off with that early 3 running really gave me a lot of freedom to take shots elsewhere. So overall, I like the team. I'm just obsessing over guys I saw that were taken before players I took, and I'm so mad I missed out on them.
Yeah, so Joe R. wants to know if there's any favorite teams out there. I liked Team 12 to start, and I liked through the tight end selection. I think the depth is fine there as well. I think some good starters. I like Jen's team an awful lot. I like the way Emil's team turned out, depending on his running backs, right? I mean, I think
they're going to have to work for me.
Yeah, I think Emil. People saying they're part timers. I think as things stand right now, yes, they are. I think as things stand 2 weeks from now, I don't know how part-time Jonathan Taylor is going to be. Ronald Jones has a full-time role. That'll get you going early on. as well. So I think it's okay. Rank, please. Drake, Mixon, Jacobs. I'm going to assume PPR, G-Wiz, Jen. Those three in your mind.
Mixon and Jacobs, honestly, they're very, very close to me. Close for me. I might like Jacobs a little bit more. So I guess I would go Jacobs, Mixon, Drake, which is actually the exact order in this draft that they got drafted.
Yeah, and I like Mixon a little more than the world. I have him as my 6th ranked running back ahead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Emil, your thoughts on that trio? Is it the Mixon, Jacobs, Drake, or do you maybe like Drake a little more than Jacobs?
I actually have Drake rated higher. And in this draft, I didn't take him. I was kind of hoping he'd flip around. Like I said, I was hoping to get Sanders or Drake, and it didn't turn out. I have Drake rated higher. Nixon, I just have a bad taste for over the years, and which is really stupid because you really should look forward, not backward. I know Jacobs, they're going to give him the ball like they did his rookie season, so I would probably like Jacobs a little over Mixon.
Jacobs is a pure runner. So Mixon, I think for me, is the usage down the stretch last season. They made some adjustments. They used the hell out of him regardless of game script. I think that's going to continue again this year, and I think they'll use him more as a receiver. For Jacobs, I mean, for a guy that missed 3 games and was hurt for 4 with that shoulder injury, had the 13th most carries and the 13th most yardage. He also had the most broken tackles of any player in the NFL. I think that's an interesting stat. I think all 3 of those are great plays. Kenyon Drake's usage once he got into the starting role was phenomenal, true feature back usage. So you can make an argument for all 3 of these guys. Team 4 and 12 really hit the sweet spot on quarterback and tight end value in the 7th and 8th to round out good starts. Robert Sabini loves those teams. I think I would agree on both of those. Those are both 3 running back teams to start. One of them, Jen Ryan's. And the Dak Prescott edition, I think, is the one that sealed the deal for me on that one. Even if I'm not as big an Evan Ingram fan as others, I see the upside is obvious in him. Okay, so do you guys have any teams' favorites that aren't your own?
I love Team 12, and I love what you're able to do when you're able to stack picks at the end, because you get some of the ball value, but you also get to jump at a guy if you want. I love Team 12. Look how late Deshaun Watson went too.
Yeah. Watson in the 7th round is pretty much a steal. And John Brown, anytime in the draft, is open to 12 especially. I mentioned a couple of really late running wide tight ends that I really like. Will Disley is one of them. He is healthy. And the other one that was on my mind a little bit that I thought might go, Dan Arnold. Like if you're in super deep leagues, starting to draw a little buzz as a receiving component there in Arizona. We saw him come on late last year. This is only in super deep leagues, people. Trust me. You don't want to draft him in your local 12-team, 16-round draft. But if you're playing in deep leagues or best ball, last-round flyers on those guys, you can do worse than that, in my estimation. Emo, which teams do you like that aren't yours?
Well, it's interesting to look at Team 2. Jeff Stooge. You got a top quarterback, you got a top tight end, then you had to make up. And you took Metcalf. You got a couple running backs that aren't ultra sexy and we're concerned about. But then you got Marvin Jones. You got Jamison Crowder, and I forget his targets last year. They were insane, and if he just does what he did last year, he'd be great. Got a rookie. He did some things there that team, Baker Mayfield late, although I don't know when you'd use him, but he got him so late he just took him. Herndon at tight end, as a potential flex player. That's an interesting team. He went for the early big names in quarterback and tight end, and then he made some ground up. So if those work for him, he's going to be a hard team to beat.
Yeah, very interesting. G-Wiz likes Team 5 an awful lot, and as I take a look at it, I kind of see why. Some of my favorite players, including Dalvin Cook, Chris Carson, obviously Travis Kelce is the world's favorite tight end, or near the world's favorite. DJ Moore, I love the upside there. I'm kind of falling off on Melvin Gordon, but in round 5, Marquise Brown, I love. Kyler Murray, we all like. So I think up through there, and Hayden Hurst getting him in the 9th round seems like pretty good value as well. So I think it's a pretty solid team as well. This is a great draft by. I think everyone did a really good job. Appreciate everyone staying focused and getting through it in quick order. And by the way, yes, he did. I noticed that too. Backed up Dalvin Cook with Alexander Madison. I'm not a big fan of the premium you have to pay to do that. I love Dalvin Cook. If I'm investing in him, I'm investing in him at a price where I need him to finish out the season. I'm not sure that Alexander Madison is really the true plug and play. I mean, he is in terms of the anticipated role, but can he do the same things Dalvin Cook can? Haven't seen it yet. 8th round's maybe a little rich for me, but I get why you would do that. Any other picks stand out to you, Jen, just in particular, certain picks or individual players that you were shocked and surprised or happily so?
Emil just mentioned Jamison Crowder, and to get a team's top receiver and really the top target guy, late 8th round, he's one of the players I was looking at, and I was kind of pissed I took Ingram because I was staring at Crowder thinking like, oh, maybe he'll come back to me. I love Crowder that late. I can't believe Jarvis Landry is going. He was seventh pick of the 7th round in this draft. He's like a 100-catch guy, I think, every season in his career. It's nice. It's so awesome to see these guys that kind of fall simply because they had a bad year or a down year. I like value personally.
Yeah, there's a lot of players who disappointed last year, coming at bargain prices. Emil, any other picks stand out to you? I thought Chase Edmonds went earlier than I would have expected in the 7th round. I think that was a bit of an early pick. Generally speaking, I thought mostly pretty good drafting. What stood out?
Well, actually, Team 5, you got Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, Minnesota, 11th round. That's pretty good. You got the crazy Deshaun Jackson in the 13th, who played, one game last year, but obviously has the talent. If this guy can stay relatively healthy, that could be a real value pick. And you got Pittman in the final round of this draft. At Boston, he did pretty good. He had a good overall draft, but be able to get some possible upside talent there in the last few rounds is nice.
Yeah, I think in general, good job by anybody. Hayden Hurst, way too late is the comment. Top 5 season coming. Certainly he will have the opportunities to do that. Also have not seen him ever do that. So, I mean, I get why there's, I kind of get it. I mean, I get seeing the upside. I mean, Dirk Cutter has always targeted the tight end heavily. This dates back to Tony Gonzalez. I don't think Hayden Hurst is Tony Gonzalez, but he might be Austin Hooper, and Austin Hooper got 90 targets last year. Remember, Hayden Hurst was a first-round pick by the Baltimore Ravens. Injuries and other issues and the emergence of Mark Andrews, kind of derailed his role there. But
Hooper last year was the 6th PPR tight end. However, he missed games week 12 and week 13. Yes. Actually, in 11, he missed 3 games, so he had the potential to be higher than the number 6 as far as the productivity of the Atlanta tight end.
All right, Jen, any final comments from you before we wrap this thing up?
No, I mean, I love doing these. As the season approaches, these mocks are so super helpful. They make me think. They help with my best ball leagues. They're going to help with my home leagues. Anyone who's listening or paying attention to this, I'd say mock as much as you can, even get into some of these cheap best balls if you can, so there's some skin in the game, because it's so interesting. No 2 drafts are the same.
And also, Jen, tell us what's going on with the social scene and the shirt that's available at RotoWare.
Definitely. So the Social Scene Club is a social club that my sisters own. I am teaching a fantasy football course. It's a 5-week course. This week is our 3rd week, I believe. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's a 6-week course. It's our 3rd week. The course videos are up on footballdiehards.com. The fine folks over at RotoWare, your favorite fantasy shirt site, are selling Social Scene Fantasy League shirts until August 30th, with a portion of the sales going directly back to the Social Scene. So check it out. It's pinned to my Twitter page. It's a lot of fun, and they're nice shirts. I mean, I don't know what that material is. RotoWare's got some of the best shirts.
They do a great job. Emil, any final thoughts for you?
Well, it was a great draft. Thanks, everyone, for doing a great job. I think all 12 teams really made some great picks, and I think it's a great lesson, like Jen says, mock drafts are very important to learn. We talk a lot about it in our classes. And yeah, I had a blast. I'm so glad everybody showed up.
The classes Emil refers to, the Fantasy Football University, available at footballdiehards.com. Go to that website. If you're not a subscriber, go to footballdiehards.com/free trial to see what it's all about. And we'll give you the full free tour for a week or so and let you see what you want. And then when you're ready to buy it at the already low price, add a 15% discount to that by using the promo code Diehards. Diehards on the promo code when you make your order. Full access to the digital versions of our magazines, the Fantasy Football Pro Forecast in its 31st season, the 20th anniversary Football Diehards magazine, in which you'll find Jen Ryan, myself, Emil Kadlec, all of us, and many others, some great contributors by our staff and some of the biggest names in the industry chime in with their thoughts. So check those out also on the website. The usual assortment of goodies, tools. Emil's come up with the My Fantasy GM, something that's going to draw all your roster-specific information and marry it up with our technology and rankings and help you spend less time managing your team and winning more games. This is critical. This is the whole idea. I'm in like 20-some leagues, right? I mean, I've dialed back a little bit this year. It's an unusual year.
It's not over yet.
When I go to do my free agent or waiver moves, man, it's helpful to have all my information in one place and have technology making recommendations about weaknesses on those rosters or strengths or weaknesses of my opponent's rosters. So check all this out. Rankings, news, notes, tools, everything you need, including the Fantasy Football University, a series of video lectures that will help you get up to speed and tune you up on a variety of topics. Right there at the Football Diehards website. We will see you back here tomorrow. That would be Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern for an Ask Me Anything. And we appreciate you. Hit the subscribe button right below the video window here and the notification bell to make sure you get all our content in your device right when it goes live. Otherwise, watch for the subscriber emails. Thanks, everyone.